Hello everyone, welcome back to another stream on Fantasy Football Scout. As usual, I'm joined by Gianni Battici. We're going to have a look at how my Game Week 8 wildcard is getting on after a long international break, and then we'll also take a look at my Game Week 9 team selection. Gianni, how are we keeping? As usual, lads, let us know in the chat if the audio and visuals are okay.
Yeah, man. Lovely to be here as always. Hello to everyone in the chat. I love recording this on a Sunday before Super Sunday, but after one game. And it's often, I swear, mate, it's often Spurs in the early kickoff on a Sunday. So many times we've recorded off the back of a Spurs game. Obviously, as minutes left. But yeah, I'm well, mate. It's been a really good game week for me. So I'm happy. I hate that FPL influences my mood as much as it does, but it does. We're both on Mukiele, so I feel like we should start our conversation there.
Yeah, let's talk about Mukiele, who is currently saving my game week, thankfully. I think without him, I'd be on a massive red arrow. But yeah, just as Gianni noted, Spurs are currently still on. I actually have them on in front of me, so you might get some live reactions here. And we have the United and Liverpool game to go. So let's quickly recap on Mukiele. Again, I had him in my wildcard. I had Enzo Fernandez starting for myself, and I said I'd be more than comfortable to start Mukiele. I was fortunate and got a massive 17 pointer, Gianni. How are you on Mukiele? I heard you had a decision to make.
Yeah, man. Like all week, I wildcarded in game week 7 with kind of one premium defender in Gabriel, and then I went for 4 defenders who were all pretty cheap, and I could rotate between them. The likes of Senesi, Richards, Kilman, and Mukiele. And many said like Mukiele would be a bench option this week, but I never really felt that. And I was willing to start him over the highly owned Senesi. And I went with it. Robert says, good call. Thanks, mate. Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes we look at a player's price and we look at the points in previous game weeks and it makes our benching decisions for us. And I think that's probably wrong. Like, look, you and I got very lucky. Neither of us saw a 17 pointer come in. But we did see a clean sheet come in, and we both said that last week. Like Mukiele versus Wolves. Wolves have been so poor, and Sunderland are legit really good, especially at home. Their defensive numbers have been really impressive. So I was always going to start Mukiele, and I benched Senesi. Chris Richards was one I was unsure about, Richards or Senesi, and I went with Richards, and there was a point in it. I got the Reinders Minter one wrong by a point, don't mind. But I'm usually so bad at these 50-50 bench calls. But yesterday, I had the Bravka over Pope, massive swing, and then I had Mukiele over Senesi, even bigger swing. So yeah, for once, I feel like I've actually made a good call on benchings.
No, that's well played. I've played Pope due to how good Newcastle have been defensively, and I got that wrong this time around. Usually, I get quite fortunate with those, but not this time around. I'm currently on 51 points with my captain yet to play. So I'm basically on what, 81 to 90 points. So it's going to be an interesting watch, and that's for sure. As Liverpool play United, of course. Jaddy, how are you feeling about that game? I mean, I think the expectation going into this is that there probably isn't much pressure on United. Again, some decent results for United. I know it is a big game for them, and as a fan, if you are a United fan, you'll of course be excited going into this game. It's one that you look forward to every year. But surely there can't be too many expectations on United going into this game.
There shouldn't be, because they're going to Anfield, which is the going to the Emirates, going to the Etihad, going to Anfield are the 3 toughest trips. You could say St James's Park's a tough place to play, and maybe Stamford Bridge, but it's one of the toughest games you're going to have all season. And the way United have been playing, many don't fancy them. But I'm conscious of saying too much because I know so many will be watching and listening to this on Monday morning or Sunday night after the game. All I'm going to say is I really hope I've been looking forward to this game all weekend. Like, because I've got no FPL interest in it, and I like that. I can't wait to watch the game as a football fan. And I really hope we get goals. And I'm hoping for you, mate, with Mo Salah captain, that we get goals too, because it was such a brave decision going against Haaland. Obviously, you own Haaland, and that's your insurance policy, but you must have been very aware his effective ownership was going to be sky high yesterday. And of course, he goes and gets the brace.
Yeah, for sure. I thought I don't know what you make of this. Again, I did watch the game, but his brace was interesting. It was quite fortunate, but he did have loads of other chances. So again, it was there, and there's no surprise that he was going to return. Again, I just thought with the game that it was with Everton, that they might be able to keep him out a small bit more. Again, maybe it will look good after this Salah game versus United, of course. We can't speak just yet, but again, phenomenal captain. He was the obvious one this game week for a reason. And this game week, it kind of hasn't really gone my way. I'll quickly pull up my team. We can take a look at it. And I'll run you through. So in front of you, I have my game week 8 score so far. I'm currently on 51 points, like I said. We've got Pope on goal. Three to back off the back of a wild card, of course, with Joe Roden, Richards, and Timber. Five in midfield with Arabesh Eze, Sar, Kudus, Salah captain, and Enzo. Two up top in Haaland and João Pedro. So lots of blanks for myself this game week so far, and I'm hoping the two big boys can come in clutch with Salah and Haaland, of course. But Gianni, what do you make of this wildcard? Again, in hindsight, it could be quick to say that it's not very good, but can you see the vision and going forward long term?
Yeah, man, absolutely. Like, I think it's I liked your wildcard tip. The only thing I disliked was Saka, as we spoke about. But you did cover that with an Arsenal attacker, and Eze's always got potential to get big points. It was a shame to see him subbed early yesterday, but he wasn't having the best of games. But yeah, I mean, you set your team up well. Like, it's just one of those things. Wildcard doesn't have to be a great week the week you play it, and we have to remember that. Like, it's not a free hit, right? Your wildcard is never with one game week in mind. And I feel like players like Ismail Assar are going to come good. I think Enzo is going to be a fantastic pick for you. I did expect Enzo to start, but in a way, I guess you're glad he didn't because you got Mukiele.
Yeah, I was really confident on Enzo starting as well. It was an unusual one because I was almost certain he was going to start based on Maresca. You can't really trust what Maresca says. And it was interesting that he didn't start. But yeah, I'm hoping he can, of course, get this Sunderland a home fixture. Interestingly enough, again, I didn't have too many decisions come the deadline because as last week we spoke, my team was fairly solidified. I didn't change too much in general. The one I did make on stream was bringing Obi from United to Marquis. What did you make of that move?
Yeah, like, I was surprised there was a lot of chat about it, Obi. But I get it, the price point. But Mark Hughes actually going to get minutes. And he did. And do you know what, mate? I mean, it wasn't just Mark Guiu. Caicedo came on at halftime, and that changed the game. But they went with João Pedro as the 10. And João Pedro is a much better 10 than he is a 9. And he needs a player in front of him. Mark Guiu might just be that option more than we expect. So I really like the Guiu pick. You might see him start getting some Premier League more minutes than even a Premier League start in a few weeks. So yeah, good pick. I guess those that didn't go there were worried that they might need the other 3 Chelsea assets in their 11 on bigger names. But the way Chelsea are playing and the way they're defending, I can't see a world in which we have triple Chelsea in terms of triple Chelsea in our 11 each week.
Yeah, that was exactly my thought process as well. Again, the fixtures are there for Chelsea for sure, and now the likes of a Cucurella, Reece James, even a Achapong look quite good. But I was more than happy to lock myself out of triple Chelsea. Again, Marquis might be one that might get minutes, and I'll be interested to see come this game versus Sunderland at home if I'll be willing to try start him. Again, I think particularly if we get news that Enzo is out, I think there's a chance that Guy starts more likely then. I don't know how you feel about that, Gianni, as a Chelsea fan.
Yeah, it's just, for me, it's even if Enzo's fit, like, I think João Pedro has shown us that he's a better 10 than he is a 9. So I think Chelsea need to work out a solution in Delap's absence. We need a 9. Look, João Pedro is a very good 9. We saw it in the Club World Cup when Cole Palmer's behind him. But I think it's very different playing number 9 with Cole Palmer behind you as it is to having his number 10s yesterday with Gusto playing as an advanced 8 and Andre Santos playing as an 8-10 hybrid. Like, Santos and Gusto is no Cole Palmer. So, of course, your performance is going to be very different. So I think it depends who's fit and available. But I think João Pedro will get a lot of minutes as a 10, even with Enzo in the team.
Yeah, that's good news for myself. So hopefully we can get some minutes off Marquis. Interesting question from Dylan Hutchins. Says, Chai, how are you not watching the game? Dylan, I am. I have it on in front of me, and I'm getting quite frustrated now and irritable. This final whistle is just about to blow, I believe. We're currently
I'm
into the
purposely
90.
giving longer answers at the start of this video so Chai can have more time watching the game. But yeah, mate, let me ask you a couple of questions on your team. Do you think, I'm playing devil's advocate here, someone that made the opposite call and hindsight bias and all that rubbish, but I saw a lot of wildcarders going with with Pope over, well, with Pope and Dubravka as their two keepers. I think the right choice. I think it's a really nice combination and rotation. But I was surprised many didn't start Dubravka. Is that because when you're on wildcard, because I do this all the time, weeks I'm on wildcard, I don't actually think much about captaincy and I don't think much about my bench because I'm just thinking about my wildcard team and my 15-man squad. Now, obviously, captaincy, you knew you were on Salah, and a lot of time we know we're on Haaland, we don't think it. But I feel like the Pope Dubravka conversation wasn't really had last week by many. And I always felt like Dubravka at home versus a newly promoted team was a really good fixture.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying, and for sure, what tipped it for me was I saw a graph of expected goals conceded, and I saw Arsenal top of the pile, and I saw Newcastle very, very, very close on the numbers.
Were they?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I was just like, sure, the fixture is there for the Bravka, of course, but they're playing against Leeds, and this will be a game that Leeds will feel they can pick up points, and they've been quite good. So that was the thought process in myself, and
Fair
maybe
enough.
probably should have thought about it a small bit more. Again, I feel like Leeds could have scored, of course. They looked decent, but of course Brighton have been a very good attacking side so far. And Danny Welbeck is one who keeps coming up with the goals, Gianni, season after season, and he's getting old. He's aging like fine wine. Again, we've not considered him, and he
No,
definitely should be.
not even talked about him, have we? Danny Welbeck never comes into the conversation. Don't really understand why we don't.
Yeah, he's definitely one that should be on our minds because I just think this season, in comparison to other seasons, we're actually kind of, even though they've not got the returns, spoiled for strikers. You know, you have the likes of Haaland, Pedro, Isaac, and Ekitike, who will inevitably become options. Of course, we've got Mateta, even the likes of a DCL, Jurgen Strand Larsen, who we've yet to see, but a lot of variety, and Nick Voldemade, of course, can't forget about him. So we can't have them all, and again, we only have three striker spots. Usually, we have one dead spot in the striker spot unless you're on bench boost, because we always feel like the midfielders provide a small bit more value.
Yeah.
But maybe we should start looking towards those cheaper guys. Imagine a front three of Haaland, Volamade, and Danny Welbeck. That would be differential FC.
Yeah, man. And actually, I mean, Walter was obviously really good, but the pick of the weekend was Mateta. And I'm guessing on Wildcard, you looked at him, did you? Obviously, you went Saar, and I went Saar in 7 over Mateta. But if I was on Wildcard now and my Wildcard 8 draft, I think Palace are good enough to have Saar and Mateta, no?
Yeah, you know what it is, though? Like, I always felt like Sarr could have covered Mateta, and again, I was wrong.
I felt the same.
Yeah, I was wrong about it, and
Same.
all of the their alerts were there that Mateta was going to bang. He's had so many chances, and he continues to get them with how advanced Daniel Munoz is. I'm actually really irritated I didn't go Munoz, to be honest. He's
same.
one I always...
It's worth the extra million, isn't it?
I always rant and rave about how good he is, and I get stung every single week, even though they're not keeping clean sheets.
Mate, I went Munoz start the season, and I sold him on game week 7 wildcard, and he was fine, but he didn't match Richards and Gahey and Lacroix. Like it was similar sort of points. In fact, I think he was the lowest scoring Palace defender after 6 game weeks, but he was perfectly fine. And then in game week 7, he scored, and in game week 8, he got 2 assists. I'm like, I should have kept patient. But obviously, the problem with Palace is there's really good, cheaper options in defence. Like Richards is amazing at 4.5 in his own right. He went and got DEFCON again yesterday. Problem is Munoz is worth the extra, isn't he? Like, are you looking to maybe find a way where you can get to Munoz soon? Because I think I am. I think I need to go, you made a mistake, bring your favourite player back.
See, there's a bit of stubbornness that comes with this now because I'm just after wildcarding. Also, Anderson getting injured for Fulham, which is even more frustrating. So I have a move to be made.
You could have started him next week, wouldn't you?
Yeah, so it is quite annoying, to be honest. Of course, Anderson's fixtures are phenomenal come game week 10. But I have 4.6 million in the bank. Again, let me get on to my game week 9 team selection while we're talking about it. and I'll run you through from goalkeeper to forwards and some of my decisions this game week. Like I said, 0.1 million in the bank and one free transfer after just hitting the wildcard button. Just want to note on the rank because I don't want you to feel like I'm hiding it. But before my captain Mo Salah plays, I'm currently sitting at 550k, which is about a 200k red arrow thus far. So let me run you through the team. I've got Nick Pope on goal, 3 at the back, Injurian Timber, Joe Roden, and Chris Richards. 5 in midfield, Eze, Salah, Kudus, Sarr, and Enzo. 2 up top in Erling Haaland and João Pedro. On the bench, we've got Dubravka, Mukiele, Anderson, and Mark Guy. So I feel like this game week, I don't want to make a transfer, even though after a poor game week, I feel inclined to. I feel like I'm not really spoiled for choice at that 4.6 bracket to go for anyone, to be honest. And I think it is a grade 1 hamstring injury for Anderson, not quite positive on it. Adam says in chat 4 weeks out for Anderson, and 4 weeks brings us up to that international break in game week 12. So
I haven't seen that, Adam. Can you let us know the source? I'd seen that it's unlikely he'll be available next week, but I think the quotes from his manager didn't indicate a time frame. So yeah, I double check that.
yeah, I agree. But interestingly enough, I think even if he was out for 2 weeks, I kind of still would try get some short term gain. I think I just don't know who's the one yet, and I haven't given it too much thought if I'm being honest.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, I think it's unlikely he's going to be around. And rolling the transfer would be powerful for you. But yeah, it's interesting because you would have started him away to Newcastle over Richards, I guess, because he would have got DEFCON and clean sheet chances were low anyway. But yeah, okay, mate. Talk to me about if Enzo is out. Let's say Enzo doesn't play Champions League on Wednesday night or whenever Tuesday night, whenever it is. What would you do then? Would you be a bit sweaty on like, oh, I'm gonna have my hand forced here to a transfer or not?
Nah, I'd still start him. I feel like either way, I'm gonna want Enzo, whether it's this game week or next.
Yeah.
Even though it's not ideal, I mean, when you look at my bench, I'm very very thin for this particular game week. Again, last game week and this game week are probably not ideal for my own team. Again, you've got double Palace versus Arsenal, but we know Crystal Palace can get a goal versus these big sides. Again, Arsenal maybe are a different kettle of fish, but even though they're the best defense in the league, I still feel like Sarr is going to be the one on a breakaway if they are ever going to score versus Arsenal. Eze against his old team as well. I feel like on paper doesn't look great, but then you account the fact that maybe Eze will be hungry and you'd expect the manager to put him in. Not too many worries there with Eze. Going with Eze and Timber instead of Gabriel and Saka, Gianni. This will probably be the biggest talking point for my own team this game week because of the outcome. Saka getting bonus points and DEFCON, and Gabriel getting an assist, which is of course frustrating for myself because I've not got him. Can you see the thought process of going with Eze and Timber, considering I've got Salah?
Mate, absolutely. I think it was fun. Like, I think Timber over Gabriel was a real coin toss. The start of the season Timber's had and the average position he takes up for goal and assist threat was huge. And I actually thought Calafiori was sensational yesterday as well. Like, I don't think there's a huge amount between Timber, Calafiori, and Gabriel. Gabriel obviously is the most consistent for DEFCON and he is the best aerial presence. Like, he's such an attacking threat. But Timber has been too in terms of open play. The big kicker for me is, and we won't know the answer to this yet, we won't know the answer to a couple of weeks because you have to give the game's best ever player time. Is the mistake having Salah over Saka? Because Saka is clearly better than Eze, but it gets you Salah. I understand it. And you're able to captain a differential and bet against the template. And that's something you love doing. And that's something you've got a track record of doing really, really well. So I understand your moves. I didn't like them and you knew that. Like, I liked Saka and I didn't like Salah. But maybe I humble pie on that one because Salah's only one game or one goal away from turning it round and becoming an amazing option again. And people could be listening to this after they play United. We're recording it before going, Gianni's just scored a hat-trick. Like, you wouldn't be surprised. It's Mo Salah.
Yeah, I could also look like a right fool though after this. I could be like, where is Saka? What am I after doing? But it's mad. Like when you do make a decision like this, it is very very little in the outcome. To be honest, like these bold decisions, they can bite you very easily when you go against the template. And another one that, to be honest, I was you know is probably a token point that we should discuss is Semenyo, who wasn't awarded the second assist. He's another one I didn't go with. And to be honest, maybe this week I've gotten away with it. I don't know how you feel with that, Gianni. Krupa Jr. playing up top and getting 2 goals, of course. But I've got Sarakuda and Enzo in place with Eze.
I didn't mind that. I think your midfield balance is fine. Semenyo was so expensive, it was going to be a drastic downgrade in one of the other 3 roles. So I understand why you did that. And look, maybe all of Semenyo's big points have come. Obviously, he was good yesterday. But the guy that caught my eye this weekend as the best performer was still. By the way, that assist hasn't been given, David. It came off his back and it took a knock off an Arsenal defender. FPL have actually tweeted in the last hour, but I spoke to Mark Southerns this morning, who runs the game. He was in my YouTube chat and he let us know why that assist for Semenyo didn't exist, and we always knew that was coming. Was Saka as the best performer of the weekend? Like, I watched Saka again yesterday and went, boy, you're so close to a 15-pointer. He looks so good. And he kept putting it on. I mean, he got 2 bonus points without an attacking return in a 1-0 win. That shouldn't happen. He got DEFCON. That shouldn't happen. He's playing to like awesome levels at the moment.
Yeah, I agree. He was electric. I did watch the Arsenal game as well.
And you've got the slot available. You could go Salah to Saka if you have to. You know, you've got that. You didn't go 3 Arsenal, and it's giving you that flexibility to move to Saka. Sorry to cut you off.
Oh, you're okay. No, I'm happy to stay in this bed because I feel like there is something with going with the main man and the best attack in the league. I just feel like if that does click for Liverpool, which I do expect it to, like I would be so surprised, Danny, if we're having a conversation over the next 3 game weeks where Salah's not been involved in the goals. Like I will happily hold my hands up and say, lads, I got it wrong, but I don't think we're there yet. Again, they're going to play in the next 20 minutes, so that will tell us a bigger story. And come Brentford away, I feel like it is a really nice fixture for Liverpool, of course. So let's see. I would give it at least 2 to 3 weeks, though. I don't think I would be so rash to go Salah to Saka. It's just not who I am, and I feel like there always is, time to pick up points. You have to give players a block, especially after a wildcard. My decision was before the week that I feel like Salah is a good captaincy over Haaland over the next 3, and that he can pick up some goals, and that I'll want him in game week 12. So I feel like I have to stick with it, and maybe some of it is stubbornness. I am definitely aware of that, but I just feel like there is something in it. I can't look past it.
Yeah, I understand that. And you've made such a big decision on wildcard. The last thing you want to do is go, I have one bad week of the results on that template or that structure, and then rip it up and start again. No, you've given it. You got to give it time. Guys, it'd really help us out if you hit the like button just for the algorithm for Fantasy Football Scout. So do like if you can. Mate, talk to me about captaincy next week. Is this a case of going, how does Mo Salah play today? React to it. Is he my captain or not? Or are you in the boat of you want to back against Haaland again with, Salah with a good fixture? Where are you at with captaincy?
Again, it comes that I really take the games, like the specific fixture for what they are. In my mind, Unai Emery has always been a good manager versus the top 6. Again, we've seen it today with Spurs, going away, Spurs beating us 2-1. Again, I feel like this game versus United will be quite telling for me, though, at the same time. I know I try not to put it down to the outcome. But again, if he's not picking up any numbers and he's wide, for example, I mean, my hand might be forced. Even though, right now, if you're asking me, I'll throw it on Mo for sure.
I understand that. Yeah, okay. Mate, I would look at your bench and go, if Mark Guiu plays well in the Champions League, I don't actually know. He's not in the Champions League squad, I don't think. So maybe he can't play in the Champions League. Regardless, depending on how they look in the champs and who plays number 9 and how they look, I wouldn't be surprised to see Mark Guiu get good minutes against Sunderland. I'm not saying he'll start, but there's a chance he does. I definitely move him up your bench. And if for whatever reason we do think he's starting against the club he was out on loan at for like a few days, a few weeks, Mark Guiu could be a punt. Ismail Assar, for example, has Arsenal away. We're not expecting much from Palace attackers, or are we? Do we look at Palace attackers and go, they're playing the league's best defence away from home. They've got to go to Arsenal. Have they got a chance? Because Arsenal just don't concede chances. Not big ones.
I think they absolutely have a chance. When I say they have a chance now, I mean a chance to get maybe one goal. I don't see two, three, but I definitely feel like I'll be happy enough playing Sarr. Again, it's not ideal. I mean, I would never choose Sarr against Arsenal, of course, but I don't exactly have too much choice, and I'd definitely be trying to sneak Mark Gee in if I can. I do get what you're saying, and potentially move him on that bench spot to Mukiele. Just going to chat. I look at Haaland's form, says Rob, and I do not care who he's playing against. He just gets the armband. And I'm completely with that. Again, Salah has not played, so I really need to see this game because this is my first week with him.
Yeah.
And also, Abdullah says no logic to go against him. He's on the best form of his life. So I agree. There's no doubt, and for me, it is not doubting Erling Haaland because I have him in my own team. I mean, that tells you a lot. For me, what it goes down to is I'm looking at his form. I'm going, he scored 11 goals or something now, Gianni. At this rate, he's going to be on for a 45 goal season, and I don't think any of us are expecting that. So it is going to slow down eventually, lads. Even Pep has come out with a quote saying this. That's not to say he can't score versus Villa and he won't brace. But again, I just look at the fixture, and every week I play the fixtures regardless of who's in form. I just see if I can get an edge somehow, whether it's a fixture or um, a matchup. So again, it's definitely not certainly on Mo Salah. I'm just trying to weigh up my options.
Yeah, okay. How are you feeling about João Pedro moving forward, mate? As an option, just knowing that Mateta, we've spoken about, you have a third Palace asset available. You have a new, you could go Walter. Like João Pedro's last shot on target was August. Is that a concern for you?
Nah, it's a bit easier for me because it's my first game week of owning them. Again, he was frustrating because I did probably expect a bit more in a 3-0 win for Chelsea. But
Yeah.
again, I'll need to see him versus Sunderland at home. That's what I'll gauge it off for me because I've not owned them. I guess there's no built up frustration, and I'm trying to look at going forward and not what's happened. So I do get that point completely. It's definitely not a good look, but I feel like João Pedro is always going to be Chelsea's one of Chelsea's main men, of course. And if he's on penalties, he's even more appetizing with no Enzo around.
Yeah, okay, nice. Um, in terms of Kudus, obviously you're a Spurs fan. For those that don't know, Chai's a big Kudus fanboy. I love him too. Had a goal disallowed today. I mean, it was offside. He's had a few actually this season. Routes to points are there. Just talk to us about how Spurs are playing. Did they look like scoring many versus Villa today? And do you want a Spurs attacker in your team moving forward, knowing Champions League really will start taking it out of both teams like Chelsea and Spurs? Like it's a huge effort for squads that perhaps aren't used to it, like Arsenal, City, Liverpool, consistently play European football and Premier League football at the latter stages of the Champions League. Teams like Chelsea and Spurs of late have been playing Thursday night rotation heavy European squads in the last few seasons, and they're still fresh at the weekend. They play two teams, but they can't do that this year, can they?
Yeah, if you look at my front seven, they all play in Europe, which is
Yeah.
definitely not great. But going to Mohamed Kudus, yeah, Spurs were quite frustrating for me today. Again, starting, but I'm not one to ever criticize a manager on who they want to choose because they know better than I do. That's without a doubt. But just with Paulina, who played really well today, I might add, and Bentancur, it was very sideways. And we
Mm.
didn't. Odebert looked, he tried to take on his man every single time. Xavi wasn't largely involved. Kudus, anytime he did get the ball, was always bright, as usual. But just not enough there yet for me. Um, Again, Tell wasn't great, and Richarlison, which was benched, which I thought was interesting. So a small bit of frustration there, and with Europe, of course, coming up, you definitely have question marks on how Spurs are going to play with Europe and fast turnarounds, of course, with a Romero injury now, which is definitely not ideal for Spurs. Injured in the warm up. I haven't got too much more on that. But happy and a Kudus believer. He's coming in at 6.5, so of course
Yeah.
expectations are not too high. Again, when I'm watching Spurs, of course, I want him to return because I love him as a player, one, and I want Spurs to score. But quite happy still as a Kudus owner, even after today's blank.
And defensively, Spurs. I mean, British 87's just said, what a strike from Rodgers. But it was two goals from range that at it, Spurs defenders can do a huge amount of. Yeah, you can block shots, but you don't mind conceding shots from outside the box ordinarily. So Spurs defense long term, do you see? Because I've always thought under Frank they look quite defensively solid. Certainly very different to what we saw under Ange. I've always thought a Spurs defender could come back on my radar.
Yeah, Destiny Azogi now injured though, who would be my favorite left back.
Yeah.
Inflammation on the knee, I believe it is. Of course, Kevin Danso, who I thought was decent today, coming in and replacing Christian Romero. I think 4.3 million he is.
I think
Um,
he's quite good for BPS usually because he's the guy that goes up for a lot of the aerial duels. So again, if he does start playing 90, he could become quite good for BPS. Sorry, for DEFCON.
yeah, I was thinking that as well. Just on the goals again, like you said, it's scoring or conceding from outside the box. That first goal for me with Vicario, I feel like it went quite central. Xavi
Yeah.
Simons just threw himself at the ball. He was like he had a very high defcon in that first half. I was watching him and he looked like he was very very energized. Shame he couldn't put himself more on the ball, but he just kind of threw himself at Rogers. Rogers just skipped past him, and then you know it's not great goalkeeping when the shot is the opposite post, and it didn't even go to the opposite post. It went central, so it was like
Mm.
it was really unusual. And for me, really poor goalkeeping from Vicario. Maybe I need to see it again. And I'm being quite critical. But when Diaz won, on the other hand, was a phenomenal strike. I mean, like a world class strike. I mean, I
Left
was
foot as well.
yeah, I
I
was
think he's
impressed seeing that, of
right-footed,
course.
yeah. Yeah.
But just on Spurs, I don't know how to feel. The fixtures aren't the greatest, but with Kudus, I am happy.
Okay. Yeah. Fair. Mate, Danso did get 10 DEFCON. Just checked it today. So he
Yeah,
actually got DEFCON, which is quite impressive.
that
Like, because
that
Spurs centre backs don't ordinarily get DEFCON. Like, we haven't seen it much with Van der Ven and Romero. So yeah, Danso, interesting. Let's wait and see on Romero. But Danso is 4.3 million. If he was going to be a first choice Spurs centre back for a month or so, you might just consider him. Although the fixtures for Spurs aren't the best: Everton, Chelsea, United, Arsenal, Fulham. I just feel like this Spurs team will keep some cleans though. Mate, anything else you want to touch on? Individual players or themes of your team, or players you've still got your eye on? Who are the biggest misses for your wild card that you were really close to going with? Did you have a headache that a player you nearly went with that didn't?
I want to say Volumade. I thought
Yeah,
he's been playing quite good, and I wish
he's a
I
you
got him
pick.
and Saka, of course. Those were the two for me. I did really want Saka, and I even tried to stretch a draft with Saka, Salah, and Haaland, but I didn't
Yeah,
end up going there because I said, you know what, I'll try to take a risk on Eze. It mightn't go my way, it might, but I'm going to take a risk because he is playing in this Arsenal side, and I want a piece of that attack. So, again, not worked out in my favour just yet, but I'm going to leave it play out for a few game weeks, and I'm not actually stressing too much about it just yet. Other than
mate.
that,
If
Daniel
Eze,
Mills.
if Eze didn't exist and didn't go to Arsenal, you would have gone Saka, wouldn't you? It wasn't like you wanted the other Arsenal player. It was like Eze's a very you vibesy good pick. But if Eze weren't around, you would have got Saka in your team, wouldn't you?
Oh, 10 million percent. It would like I found it
Yeah.
really hard to leave out Saka. So
Yeah.
it was just, I said, you know what? Let's take a risk here. That's all it was. And I still think Eze is definitely a decent pick. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. After the
Oh, mate,
international
he
break,
could bang any week.
yeah,
He could
and
bang any week. Yeah.
after an international break, of course, you never know what the minutes are going to be for some players. So, I wasn't too displeased, even though he did blank and didn't play well.
Yeah. Yeah. Um, yeah, mate, go on. What were you I interrupted you again. I'm on a slight lag. So yeah, where were you where did you want to go? I mean, Walter Marder was a pick that I thought again, it's a very vibes pick, your sort of style, and he does look good.
Yeah, he's really good. And what I love about him is he seems to be, he wants to be the main man. I watched him towards the end of that game, and he's screaming for the ball. He's putting two hands to
Yeah.
his feet and saying, "Give me the ball, I'll do something with it." And that's exactly what you want from an FPL asset. The other one I was considering actually was Anthony Gordon, who of course didn't return this game week, but being on penalties and getting back to full fitness and not suspended, he was definitely one on my mind. Who I would have went instead of course, would have been Eze. Um, I didn't go there in the end, but I still feel like Gordon is going to be a good option going forward.
It's weird this season how Howe is rotating those wingers. I know he's got four good ones in Barnes, Murphy, Alanga, and Gordon, but Gordon is clearing away the first choice wide man, left or right. And I'm surprised he's getting so many 70-minute subs. This is a guy that's probably at the moment, the way Tuchel's picking his England team, Gordon's Gordon's not only on the plane for USA, Gordon's in the starting 11 on the left hand side. Like, I don't know if that will stick, but at the moment he's first choice for England and getting 70 minutes every time for Newcastle. It is bizarre. I wonder if it's a fitness thing. I wonder if it's a concern of Champions League. I wonder if it's a concern of burnout and injury. Probably all those things. But you do expect Gordon on the pitch more than 70. And I know there's a lot of good managers out there that have picked him in the last few weeks on their wild cards in 7 or 8 because of the information we got ahead of 7 where he's on penalties. But yeah, it's a lot of money. Like he's not 6 million, he's 7.5 ish. Like Gordon's not cheap, and I feel like you need some sort of 90-minute guarantee from a 7.5 million midfielder.
Yeah, right now I think he's 7.4 and he's on
Is
pens.
he?
Okay,
Yeah.
let's talk about the best attacks in the league then. All right. So Gordon plays for Newcastle, of course. Where would you rank Gordon? Is he in the top 5 attacks in the league?
No, they're way down. I posted from Scout members area last week the XG stats and the XG defensive stats, which is what I think you saw when you said about Pope earlier. Newcastle and Arsenal were the 2 best defenses by some distance. For best attacks, Newcastle ranked like mid-table, and Palace, by the way, for XG and all the big chances created. Like for big chances created, Palace are top. For XG, they're top 2. Like Crystal Palace, in fact, they'll be first now. Crystal Palace are the best attack this season so far, and it begs the question: why don't we own their big dog?
Yeah, exactly that. So you're telling me I've got the best attack in the league versus the best defense in the league. Let's see how it fares out. For anyone who's going to watch the United game now, let's hope for something from my own team. Gianni, score predictions for that game for anyone who's heading off to watch it now.
Oh, this could be fun for those listening later. I'm gonna say 2-1 Liverpool. I think both teams score.
Yeah, I can see it for sure. I'm gonna say I'm gonna say 2-0 Liverpool.
Yeah. Have you seen Verts is left out? Frimpong's still out. He's going Bradley over Frimpong consistently now. Szoboszlai looks like he's playing number 10. And he didn't go Sesko, number 9. He has gone Cunha with Mountain and Burmo behind.
Yeah, I always felt on Kuna that, a big name player with a big ego, I felt like the manager had to put him in. Sesko has been really good, don't get me wrong, but again, might be the game state, you might want a bit more of the ball, or try get a bit more of the ball even. So I can understand why you play Kuna.
Yeah. And again, like we thought Dorgu was nailed at left wing back, but he does love playing Dallo, Amarim. He gets Dallo into that 11 one way, shape, or form. And today it's left wing back and he's gone Ahmad right wing back. So even players like Dorgu aren't nailed. So it's interesting that United 11. Obviously, Casemiro and Bruno will be the midfield too. But yeah, I don't know why. I think both teams do score. And I think Liverpool, the home advantage is big. Look, 2-1 I'm going with, but I wouldn't be surprised to see if it was 3-1 or 3-0 or 4-1. Like I do think Liverpool could show signs of, okay, they're back. Let's see. I think we need it for FPL. It makes the conversation so interesting if we have Liverpool players back on the menu. It's mad. We don't have loads of managers out there don't have Liverpool players, and they've got the best fixtures and they're the champions.
Yeah, I'm surprised I'm like the only person with Salah, to be honest. It feels like
Yeah.
I genuinely feel like I'm the only one. I'm the last survivor, even though he is about 20% EO at my rank. Just on Diogo Dallo, sorry. I'm surprised he's starting. The week before the international break, I did watch United, and he was terrible. I think he did get an assist, to be honest, but he was really, really bad. So I'm surprised Dorgo was not starting. Again, maybe Amarin is seeing something, and he knows better than I do.
Amarim loves him, mate.
Yeah.
He loves him.
But yeah, so it is a mad one for me. And again, let's see how this game goes. I feel like it will determine my mood for the weekend, Gianni.
Yeah, good luck, mate. I hope fortune favours the brave. And I feel like the Salah decision deserves to be rewarded because it was such a brave one. On the other hand, you have had a bit of fortune off your bench already this game week, so maybe you don't deserve any more.
Yeah, let's see if I'm all out of luck, and we're going to wrap it up there, lads. So, enjoy the United game if you're a United fan. Best of luck. If you're a Liverpool fan, best of luck as well. Let's see if hindsight will be nice for me when we come back to the stream, Gianni. As usual, lads, we'll wrap it up there. Do hit the like button and subscribe if you aren't already. And